This is Wisdom and Knowledge 5. And today I want to discuss just say no, no. What I'm talking about is, you know, choosing how you spend your time. There's so many things, this, that, and the other going on in the world that can lead to distractions, things that focus your attention on that you really shouldn't be focusing your attention on, or that I personally choose not to focus my attention on. Yes, it's important to understand what's going on in the world. It's important to, you know, uh, get things, but focusing all your attention on things that certain entities put out that are complete distractions, are completely different than educating yourself and, whether it be watching YouTube videos, Instagram videos, to fully comprehend, things that are going on or learn something new left and right. The world is changing. That is a fact. But we have the power to just say no when they're, shoving agendas, they're shoving things down your throat. You know, we have the power, God has given us the power to, stand up, to discern, to understand what's going on in the world, to, uh, tackle anything that comes our way. You know, this past week, I've been extremely busy. I was working 70 hours, and for me, it was balancing my time, making sure I ate the right foods, I got adequate rest, just saying no to certain things and saying yes to other things. But, you know, with everything that's going on in the world, it's important to fully, comprehend, to take care of yourself and to, understand not only what is going on in the world, but understand, your purpose, understand what you were put on, this earth to do. And I know myself, I'm called to stand up. I'm called to, stand for humanity, to be a light in this world, and I will be equipped with the right tools. I mean, when this past week when I was working, 70 hours, I mean, things that I was able to accomplish as far as, you know, performing tasks and doing that, uh, I knew that I was, a walking, breathing, you know, miracle of God. It was a miracle of God that, got me through that, and helped me to excel and to choose, what to, how to use my time, how to, focus, how to excel. And, it's unexplainable, unimaginable, you know, to be able to, conquer things in life. And I'm somebody who, goes out there and gets things done. And as someone who is called to be a light in this world, and to, stand against agendas, stand against, things that are the way that the world is shaping and such. And I'm all about having a great time. I'm all about, enjoying yourself too. I love to enjoy myself. But, you have to fully comprehend, you have to understand what's going on, and you have to choose, you know, what you want to support in life. And one thing that they are, ramping up, and it's so obvious, is the AI agenda. And I want to share this article because, when I was growing up and when a lot of my listeners were growing up, times were completely different. We didn't have a cell phone, so we weren't constantly on our phones like kids are these days. We weren't constantly inundated with this new technology with this, that, and the other. Yes, we had video games that I myself, had a Commodore computer. I don't know if anyone remembers those, but it had like 1,000 games on it, and it was floppy disks. And, we had them at my grade school, so I was able to bring all the games in. And, then we went from there to Nintendo and then Sega Genesis. So we had video games and such, but today it is just a whole new era and what our society is being exposed to and what kids are being exposed to is just, unreal. And we have the power as humanity, we have the power to, say no to it, to stand against it. And I just want to share this article on AI because it's, pretty important article as far as showing what is transpiring in the world and what's happening. So let me pull this up. And right here, kids are turning to AI for friendship. I don't have anyone else to talk to. A new UK report reveals children are turning to chatbots for homework help, emotional advice, and sometimes because they have no one else. Let's bring it down. Move over TikTok. Kids have a new favorite digital confidant, and this one answers in complete sentences. A new UK report, Me, Myself, and AI reveals that a growing number of children are turning to AI chatbots, not just to cheat, study for exams, but emotional support, fashion advice, and even companionship. The report published Sunday by the nonprofit Internet Matters surveyed 1,000 children and 2,000 parents across the UK and found 64% of kids are using AI chatbots for everything from schoolwork to practicing tough conversations. Even more eyebrow raising, over a third of these young users say talking to a chatbot feels like talking to a friend. Sure, the bots don't eat your snacks or hog the Xbox, but they also don't come with built-in safety checks, at least not yet. When AI becomes a teacher, therapist, and BFF, some of the findings are encouraging for anyone optimistic about AI's role in education. 42% of children said that they use chatbots to help with schoolwork, citing quick answers, writing support, and language practice. But dig a little deeper and the picture gets more complicated. Nearly a quarter of kids say they use chatbots for advice, ranging from what to wear, how to navigate friendships, and mental health challenges. Even more concerning, 15% say they'd rather talk to a chatbot than a real person. Among vulnerable children, those numbers climb even higher. It's the kind of customer engagement some brands only dream of, minus the ethical guardrails, age checks, and regulatory oversight. A cautionary tale for the tech sector. The report doesn't pull punches, particularly when it comes to how unprepared many AI platforms are for their youngest users. Kids are interacting with chatbots like ChatGPT, Snapchat's My AI, and Character.ai. Platforms are not necessarily designed with children in mind. The result, some are receiving inaccurate information, emotionally confusing feedback, or even inappropriate content. Yes, despite terms of service that suggest otherwise. And while Robot Friend might sound like a charming Pixar subplot, it becomes a lot more serious when 1 in 4 vulnerable children say they use chatbots because they have no one else to talk to. There have already been disturbing real-world incidents. In the US, a Florida mother filed a lawsuit after her teenage son reportedly received harmful and sexual messages from a chatbot. In the UK, a member of parliament recounted a chilling case where a 12-year-old was allegedly groomed by one. In February, California Senator Steve Padilla introduced Senate Bill 243, which would require AI developers to implement safeguards protecting minors from the addictive and manipulative aspects of chatbot technology. This bill proposes protections like age warnings, reminders that users are talking to AI, not a real person, and mandatory reporting on the connection between chatbot use and youth mental health. With increasingly sophisticated chatbots being marketed as digital companions, Padilla argued that children should not be treated as lab rats, but by big tech, a sentiment echoed by child safety advocates, researchers, and mental health experts who support the bill. Parents in schools are outpaced. According to the report, parents are worried about AI, but not particularly empowered. While 62% of parents said they were concerned about the accuracy of AI-generated information, only 34% had discussed how to assess the truthfulness of AI content with their children. And although AI seems to have infiltrated lunchbox conversations, just 57% of the kids say they've spoken to a teacher about it, often reporting inconsistent advice. As AI tools become more conversational, more convincingly human, more convincingly human, kids aren't just using them, they're bonding with them. 50% of vulnerable children say it feels like talking to a real friend that might be fine if the bots offered peer-reviewed advice and empathy algorithms. But as it stands, we're still dealing with probabilistic word prediction. Rachel Huggins, co-CEO of the nonprofit Internet Matters, puts it bluntly, AI chatbots are rapidly becoming a part of childhood, yet most children, parents, and schools are flying blind. Now, growing up, I never would imagine that, it would have got to this era. We, I personally think we had it made because, we hung out with our friends, we played sports, we, did things together, we went outside, you name it. In this age, you know, it's getting more and more, and what they want to do, merge man with machine. Well, I'm sorry, I don't sign up to that. I don't play that game. I'm all about freedom, I'm all about choice. If you want to play that game, go right ahead, but I'm not about to, merge man with machine, rewrite DNA, you name it. No, God has not called me to do that. And this is what they are ramping up. This is what they are, one of the many things that they're shoving down people's throats. And I can only imagine what schools are like, and I got a good friend who's a coworker of mine who quit being a teacher because, of what is going on, you know, and just the way that the world is, it's not there. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are, because I'm sure, even though the article didn't say it, I'm sure that in this day and age, even the teachers are implementing this into their curriculum, into their, lesson plan, the AI, because it's what, the system, so to speak, wants. And we, the ones out here standing against the system, going against the grain, standing against the new normal, you know, we are the ones who have the power to say, hey, no, I don't want to participate in that. I don't want to be a part of that. And that goes for every single aspect of our life. Just say no to the things that like I can tell, I know for a fact that I'm not called to be in, a part of this, part of that, part of the other, whatever it may be. And a lot of people who understand what's going on in the world. Prime example is when I lived in LA. I lived in LA from, when was it? 2007 to 2018. And even before then, a couple times, I mean, I worked on TV show, movie. I was, into acting. it's I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be on these TV shows, and I did a ton of work as an extra, you know. And then comes, and I've talked about this before, and then comes, the wake up call that, hey, what is this game really about? Because it was a game. You weren't, as an extra, you're not getting paid. You're not getting, sometimes you'll get paid, because after 8 hours, you get time and a half. After 10 hours, you get double time, you name it. And I mean, they fed you pretty well if you know. So when working on these shows, depending on what the production was, and yeah, I got to go on these studio lots and I got to see these locations because we do studio lots, we do locations. Okay, it seems all fine and grand, So, but then you realize what the game's about, and it's like, and I'm not saying everything's like this, but it's like, wait, what's happening? And the big wake-up call, 2016, the end of 2016, when they had, you know, the, you know, election, Hollywood just, and I'm sure it was happening even before that because I've said before, I was on this TV show called The Last Ship, and it was about a pandemic that just wiped out like all of existence. And the ones, it was a Michael Bay production Transformer, it was on TNT called The Last Ship. It lasted a few seasons, and the first season it came out, I was one of the people with the plague, Left for Dead. And then this was long before COVID. This was like 2015, around there, 2015, 2016. And then the second season, I come back, and every time I worked that show on the second season, I was no longer the one with the plague. I was a White House staffer, booked as a White House staffer, and the White House was in St. Louis. So I don't know what game they were playing there, but the pandemic thing and offering vaccines as a solution was a little bit too 2020, 2021, close to home. Yeah. So, and as someone who, you know, and the, then, the other reason too, well, like I said before, once that 2016 election came, they were just booking, instead of me doing everything under the sun, whether it be concert goer, pedestrian, FBI, lawyer, uh, you name it. So many. Uh, you're now tearing down statutes, riot, and it's like, nah, that's not me. Huh? When did it no longer become pedestrian, concert goer, and when did it shift over to this? And then you realize you wake up to wait, they're using it as predictive programming, and it's like, wait, I, I very well was probably part of the predictive programming. Like a lot of shows I worked on was probably not necessarily a part of that, but I did work on a handful of episodes of like NCIS LA where things like that were going on. I'm sure I was on CSI New York a handful of times, Big Bang Theory, you name it, all the popular shows, not all the popular shows, but a lot of them, I'd worked on. So when you wake up and say, hey, look, no, I don't want to do that anymore, you have the decision to just say no, to say, hey, look, it's a great opportunity. And I don't regret anything because life is an experience. You're dealt with situations, experiences, and when you want to do something and go out there and do it, go for it. But when you understand, when you wake up to something and say, hey, look, it's not for me, you know, be sure to get out of that. So, which I'm so glad that I did and moved on, because I myself am called to be a light in this world. And, my experiences I can share with others. I can, be a light to others. And as someone who fully understands, or at least to the best of my ability understands, what's going on in the world, the way that the world's run. I'm so blessed. I'm so thankful that I chose to get into podcasting, in which I originally started in 2020, and then I transitioned over to doing this podcast, but I was doing one called Mark 2.0, and just interviewing everyone who was standing up, to what was going on, these draconian lockdowns, these restrictions, these, vaccine mandates, this, you gotta, wear your mask to, uh, enter our building, stand against all that authoritarian rule, because we are the ones in charge of our health, not them. And among many other things. So, anyways, we can choose what we want to do with our lives. We can choose how to spend our time and to just say no to their agenda, say no to things that are distractions, to say no to anything that comes our way, and say yes to the right things, to taking chances on things, to, if you got something that you want to do to make a difference in the world, whatever it may be, you want to learn something, go out there, watch that YouTube video, or read that book, you name it, and do something that you want to do, because that's what it's all about. Anyways, be sure to follow me on uh Facebook, Wisdom and Knowledge 5 Podcast. I will post the link to the page. And, if you're not following me on Instagram, Wisdom and Knowledge 5, I'll post that link also. That's where I'm most active, is Instagram. Because people are sharing things with me left and right. I'll post videos, you name it. Uh, Share things in my stories, you name it. So continue to be a light in this world, continue to take a stand. If you haven't clicked the follow button, be sure to follow, subscribe to Wisdom and Knowledge 5. It's completely free for you, and share these podcast episodes out. I'm going to have some great guests coming up, and I'm going to continue to stand for truth, to stand for humanity, because I'm put on this earth to make a difference in this world. And God has blessed me with the, platform, with the tools, the mindset to do so. So, anyways, much love. Have a great week. I will see you back here next week for Wisdom and Knowledge 5. I am Mark. Peace out. Take care. Have a great week, everyone.